Oh, that's right. Just a little Rowan and Martin laughing theme song here this morning. God, don't you miss the good old days when TV was good? Here you go, Ann. You're getting off on a rant. No, I'm not. I just was thinking as I punched that in there about how much it was to watch that on Saturday night, and it was always entertaining. Anyways, Goldie Hawn, God, you see pictures of all these people now that are still living. Well, thank God they're living, Ann. And they look old and ruined. And no wonder they don't go out very often. They look so old, you just go, oh my God, is that really them? Right? Anyways, Jeff used to talk about that. He used to be a good-looking guy till he got old and ruined. Anyways, I'm Ann Eller right here with you this morning, just looking at things, and as I get older, I go, am I going to look old and ruined? God. Anyways, let's get started. I'm getting a little concerned. I'm not really sure the direction things are going. And I know all the Trumpites out there are going, oh my God, this is fabulous. We got rid of this, we got rid of that. We've got Washington, D.C. under control. Somebody was talking last night, what is it going to be? The Washington, D.C., the Epcot of Disney World is going to be right there in Washington, D.C. We are seeing things very much change in our world, and while things needed to be done, absolutely. I mean, crime has been out of control. The immigration, the border. I mean, oh my God, these things have been so out of control. When this first started, the cleanup, the border, closing the border, nobody coming across the border. It's just like I talked about last week. They've got it down to 0 people coming across. They're so small that they can catch them. Now they want to paint the wall black because that'll make it hotter when they come across the border, and they won't be able to stand the heat of the metal on their bodies. I mean, is that overkill? I kind of think it is. Now, you may disagree with me, and I think that's good, but that's what we need in this world. We don't need everybody being a yes man or yes woman to everything that happens. Last night, I was watching a little Fox News, and I could see some of the cracks coming in. I mean, I disagree with the president. Laura Ingraham talking about the 600,000 students from China. Now, up to this point, I can barely remember Fox News having any disagreement at all with the president's policies. It's just been yes, and give us more, and we're going to play the Donald Trump story 24/7 if we can. But last night there seemed to be very much a question about some of the things that are happening. Laura Ingraham and talking to, I think it was Scott Bessent last night, about 600,000 students from China. And he literally just he gave an explanation. But it's an explanation, in my opinion, that you'd give to somebody when you know you don't want him to discuss it. That by doing that, it makes all colleges, otherwise all the students would be going for the good colleges. What's that supposed to mean? We're letting Chinese people into our country and they get the good colleges because they can afford to spend the money on it? What does that mean? Anyways, he is with the president. Of course he's with the president. He's in his cabinet. But that bringing in 600,000 students from China is a good thing. One of the things that has occurred to me is that as a businessman, you look at things differently maybe than as that dreaded word, a politician. But you look at things a little differently. Donald Trump is all about making money, making money. And he is doing that for the U.S. government. That, what was it, $11 billion stake in Intel to, and they'll be making money on their investment in this. Well, okay, and the company agreed with this because they want to do business with the United States. But is everybody going to have to give up a chunk of their business? If you get what if you get an SBA loan now? I'm looking way down the road. But is this something that we're going to say is okay, that SBA is going to own an interest in your business? They'll be able to, they do have some controls over your business. I'm not being naive that way. But are they going to be able to take over your business? Is this something that we think is a good thing? Should we be dealing with international companies, international businesses on this way to make sure that our investment and get paid for it? Well, in the short run, that looks good. But in the long run, will the Republicans always be in office? Isn't that one of the questions that we have to ask ourselves? Will the Democrats eventually figure out a way to put themselves back in the game, being in the White House, having a control of the House and Senate? So 600,000 students coming in to go to school here in the United States from China. Should we be giving China the advantage of our great schools here? Should we be giving them 600,000 students worth of it? Would it be okay to have 100,000 or 200,000? I think right now we have 280,000 students that are from China here in our colleges. And of course, the colleges count on that because most all that are coming in from China, they're paying the full load, and they're paying as, well, I don't know, do you pay out of state and then do you pay out of country tuition? I'm not really sure on that. But so it is a boon to them. But is that taking slots out of spaces? Because there are only so many slots in our school systems. Is that taking slots that maybe American students would like or should get? Are they being pushed to the bottom of the list because we're making sure that we have money being brought in by all these outsiders? These are just some of the things that cross my mind. Yesterday, President Trump signed an executive order about flag burning. And if you burn the flag, you could spend a year in jail. That was an executive order that he did yesterday. Well, this has already been in front of the Supreme Court twice, I believe. And the burning of the flag unto itself is your constitutional right. But if you do some of the other things associated that we see with flag burning, then that is an offense. But just the burning of the flag, it is your constitutional right. So I wonder if he even has the, I'm going to say, right, in quotes, to do this. And can the president, here's another question that just came in from one of my Supremo texter here, can he actually, doesn't the Constitution say that he cannot sign an executive order regarding criminal law? Well, I'm not up on that. I think that is something worthy of checking out. But can he do some of these things that he's doing? My fear is that people have gotten so into go, 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 Trump, 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 that we are not using good sense. in our thought processes about what is happening in our country. The idea of sending the National Guard to Chicago next, is he overstepping his bounds on what he can and cannot do? I think that is another question that we have to wonder about. What does it mean that President Donald Trump may be blurring the lines on this? Are we going to wake up one day and go, whoa, I didn't know this was happening, or I didn't get that when this happened way back 8 months ago? So I think there should be a word of caution as to what the president is doing. And I'm really concerned that he is doing these things without getting good counsel advice. We all know that the president likes to lead, the president likes to be in charge, the president likes to say it's my way or the highway. But there needs to be people saying, whoa, Donald, pull back just a little. You may be stepping over the line. Because it will not be, these things, if they go to the Supreme Court, and if somebody gets arrested for burning the flag, and it is not over if he's going over the edge here, and these things go to the Supreme Court, and they get defeated, that's not a good look. You know, there's a lot of subculture, beneath the ground. Sounds like a dictator, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not trying to say that I don't support President Trump, because I do think he has done a wonderful job. But I do think that as time is going on, he appears to be getting more and more my way or the highway. And as a president, he is part of 1/3 of this whole thing we call the federal government. I liked the things that were cutting back the spending. I like some of these things. But on the other hand, then we're going out and cleaning up Washington. We've got National Guard walking around in Washington, D.C. with guns. I can tell you that that when I was in Washington, D.C., when Osama bin Laden got killed, was assassinated, when Obama was in office, we were up there doing some interviews, and everything got locked down in Washington, D.C. It was very, in my opinion, and that is just me looking at it from my perspective, it was frightening. It was frightening to see National Guard and other officers and everything with AK-57s or whatever they are strung across their body, riding bicycles. It was frightening. Not frightening. It was eerie. That would be a better word. It was eerie to when you went to a building that they had the things that don't allow you to go any further if you're in a car. The stops come up and stop you, and you couldn't go any further. And that the whole town was out there whispering around. Now, I think it's great that he has had such success in Washington, D.C. I question whether it is a long-term fix that we have right now, or is the success that they're having is just in the first swooping down, getting the criminals off the street and picking up the illegals and this type of thing. Is it sustainable? If in the end of 30 days, when they pull the National Guard out of there, if they pull the National Guard out of there, will things revert? I mean, there's a lot of questions about this experiment. You cannot give the man his due about cleaning up the streets and very quickly. But I don't want to live in a be in a Washington D.C. where there's a National Guard walking around everywhere with guns and looking at me. What is that girl doing? Why is she here? I mean, I don't want to be living in a country like that. Do you? I don't think so. So that is why that I kind of have a question about how things are proceeding. If we're simply showing that this can be done, kind of like the border. He went in and cleaned up the border, boom. This was malarkey that Biden and whoever could not clean up the border. The border's been cleaned up. That's a good thing, and that's something definite. But when we start getting into taking over cities and talking about, oh yeah, we may go to Chicago, we may do this, we're talking about something, I think, a little different. You know, I think, and then talking about maybe getting rid of Mayor Bowser up there in Washington, D.C., I do think the federal government, because it is kind of, Washington, D.C. is kind of under the federal government's parlance, I do think that the president and whatnot has a little more sway. But what about going to your city? And I'm not talking about Greenwood, but any city out there and taking over to help reduce crime. I think the first impression is, wow, this is great. Look, these people didn't get it done. The second wave is, how long are they going to be here? And is this something that we've got to have in order to keep the crime down? Just my personal opinion here this morning. So, the flag burning, I think that's another thing. I don't like the flag being burned. I hate to see that. But I also like the fact that I can sit here on the radio and talk about whatever I want and nobody's going to come in. Well, so far, is there someone at the door? So far, I can talk about whatever I want and not have to worry about it. So those are just some of the things that have, as I'm watching what is happening with our government, I worry about the executive orders, one after another. And by the way, folks, the executive order is only good for as long as somebody else doesn't come along and do another executive order. So another president could undo it or expand upon it. It is the job of our House and our Senate to make the laws of the land. Speaking of that, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish on the national level. Then I've got something kind of fun to talk about here coming up in just a second. But Tim Walz, did anybody see Tim Walz yesterday? Flags. The reason he signed the executive order on flag burning, because he knows there's so many flags with his face on it that they'll be burning the flags, and he can make a case, you can't burn my flag. Now, that was kind of funny. I mean, they were talking about how unhinged and everything he was. But I thought that was actually kind of funny from Tim Walz, that Donald Trump didn't want any flags burned because they've got his image on it and he knows they're going to burn him. The other thing I thought that was kind of an interesting tidbit on the Dems yesterday was, drop the pencils, grab the knives. What does that mean? Drop the pencils, grab the knives. Time to get busy here, folks. I mean, people are starting to give President Trump, even on the Democratic side, some kudos for what he's done. I just hope President Trump doesn't take that as a sign he should do more and step over the line more. Those are my concerns. I want a presidency that does the things that we need to have done, but colors within the lines. This going over the lines, I think, is a dangerous step. It's a dangerous step not only for us peons here in the country, but it's a dangerous step, itch in my eye, a dangerous step for the future when somebody else, another side, as the Democrats, or even if another party emerges, takes over and wins. It's just like Mondavi in New York City. Can you believe that a Democratic socialist is slated to win the election there? I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. As I watch this happening and hear what he's saying, and knowing that this is something that is out there, right? Out there, that this might happen. That this might happen. Oh, that's right. You are listening to WCRS Radio right here in Greenwood. We're also live on Facebook. Love to have you just put a comment in there. Hey, Ann, how you doing this morning? Or, God, you look terrible. You've been up all night. Whatever. But anyways, I just think that it is, doesn't anybody have any belief that, oh my God, this is terrible, that a socialist could actually win the mayorship of New York City? And what will that mean to the businesses and whatnot there? I think it is unbelievable. And yet there is nobody in the race right now up there in New York that is coming close to how he's taken off on this thing. Of course, the very fact that he couldn't bench press 135 pounds, and he's a man, I don't think I would have, if I couldn't bench press whatever was in front of me, I don't think I would have laid down on the bench and said, sure, let me give it a try, for the fitness test thing. I don't think I would have done that. I would have known that I could bench press if it was 135. I'd know I could do it. If not, I'd have them take the plates off before I get there and get it down to 100 pounds. I might could handle that or something. Or maybe just don't ask me to do this because I can't do it. Maybe I could do a pull-up. I don't know. But I just thought that was really dumb on that part. I guess he was trying to show he was a person of the people, the person of the people. All right, so now, other things, a couple of things going on right here in our state. Don't know if you caught this one or not, but there was a opinion piece in the SC Gazette, which I find it's a good, quick way to see a lot of news that's going on right here in our state. And it says, the First Amendment protects the freedom of speech and religion. It prohibits the establishment of religion, which courts have interpreted as a ban on government endorsing one religion over others. And so this guy, Ryan Dudley, says it's time for South Carolina to repeal its blasphemy law. Did you know there was one on the books for this? There is. It might surprise many South Carolinians to learn that blasphemy is still punishable by jail time in their state, an absurdity that needs to be remedied. Under South Carolina Code Section 16-17-520, it's a misdemeanor to use blasphemous, profane, or obscene language on or near a house of worship. South Carolina is one of only 6 states that have the archaic anti-blasphemy laws, alongside, get this, very liberal state Massachusetts, Michigan, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and Wyoming. These antediluvian statutes date back to America's colonial era, long before the U.S. Constitution, when church and state were entangled and religious orthodoxy was enforced by law. You might assume laws like this aren't enforced anymore, but in Pennsylvania, it happened as recently as 2010. Well, that is 15 years ago. He attempted to register a film production company named I Choose Hell Productions. State officials rejected his application because state statute says corporations' names were not allowed to be blasphemous. Thankfully, the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania stepped in. The court ruled that the state's enforcement of its blasphemy statute violated the First Amendment, which protects freedom of speech and religion. And yet, that unconstitutional law remains on the statute books, just like South Carolina remains today. Why? Not because anyone is defending it, not because it's needed, but because no one has taken the time to repeal it. This piece talks about this one law, okay, the blasphemy law, okay. But there are hundreds of laws on our books that are old, antiquated, and outdated that should be taken off too. It says, this Ryan Dudley says, leaving laws like this sends the wrong message. And it leaves open the possibility that someone could misuse the law again, especially since the U.S. Supreme Court has shown a willingness to rewrite constitutional law in favor of religious litigants. Even conservative evangelical politicians agree that blasphemy laws are wrong. James Lankford, a senator from Oklahoma back in 2019, introduced a bipartisan Senate resolution calling for the global repeal of blasphemy laws. The resolution condemned foreign governments that jail or prosecute individuals for religious belief and non-belief. It passed unanimously in the Senate in December of 2020, less than 2 weeks after the House passed a matching resolution introduced by Jamie Raskin, also who is a Democrat from Maryland. Such a rare and overwhelming support demonstrates that protecting religious expression, including the freedom to question or reject religion, is a shared American value that transcends party lines. So what do you think about this? For South Carolina, the solution is clear. Repeal the state's blasphemy law and bring its statutes in line with the established Supreme Court precedent. Doing so costs nothing, harms no one, and reaffirms the state's commitment to both religious liberty and freedom of expression for all. Now, I know some of you out there are going to go, oh, we don't need to do that. Well, maybe not. But is this right to have these laws? Whether you like them or not is the question. Or is it something that we should be aware of as we're trying to make things level across the nation? And should you be able to say what you can and can't? If you are a believer, you should have the right to your beliefs. If you are a non-believer or you have other views that you find, should that be something that you should be able to have too? I say we should be able to have all of our views if we truly have freedom of speech, freedom from religion, and if the First Amendment is to truly stand for what it means. So I think that is another issue. I just found that a most interesting article. As I said, that was at the South Carolina SC Gazette, which is a source out there that has some interesting articles. All right, and in other news, a swatting hoax prompted active shooter alert at USC. Come to find out, it was a hoax, and Nancy Mace is getting the beat down for actually putting some tweets out. I haven't seen her tweets. I just saw something about that. She did have two events yesterday in the upstate, one in Greenville and another in Spartanburg. And then there was one also, that was Nancy Mace events. Then there was in Lawrence last night, a barbecue and get together, I think, of the Republicans over there in Lawrence, and Alan Wilson was their guest. Evidently, that one was a very, very successful. So, this event, this calling in that they had an active shooter at USC was not real. It was swatting, I guess, special. The USC is not the only college to receive false active shooter report in the last week. The hoax is called swatting because the calls are designed to get a heavy response from law enforcement to include special weapons and tactics SWAT teams. 2 hoax calls came into Villanova University in Pennsylvania, one Sunday morning, one the previous Thursday. Police arrived at the University of Tennessee last Thursday, received a call reporting a man shot with an AR-15 on campus. That report, too, was found to be fake. And on Monday, Iowa State University students became the latest victims of a false report. During the event, people posted photos and videos of a USC student carrying an umbrella on social media. According to the school, the student had no role in the incident. The USC police say they have no evidence that these latest calls originated on campus. Among those who responded to an image of the student was U.S. Representative Nancy Mace, who is running for governor. After the second alert saying police found no evidence of a shooter, Mace then posted, "Real or a hoax or a mistake? Now would be an appropriate time to talk about hardened security at schools of all grades, colleges, and universities. As a mom of a student at USC, tonight was terrifying," Mace wrote in a follow-up post, "frantically calling my child to see if they were at the library or barricaded somewhere else on campus, making sure their roommates were safe. Your heart just drops to the ground for a minute and you can't breathe." So these other gubernatorial candidates also posted on social media, urging calm, offering prayers, and thanking law enforcement. But again, this was a hoax. Here is my thing about this. The more hoaxes that come down, whether it's at USC, Clemson, it could be Lander, any of these places, when something real actually happens, then it becomes a subject with how fast everybody responds, or is the first thing going through their mind going to be, oh, this could be another hoax. We've just had a bunch of them. So I worry about that. I worry about that actually quite a bit, because I think that's a setup for something that could be much worse. All right. Now, what else did I have? If you're into politics, this is an interesting article. 3 challengers to the South Carolina Supreme Court justice include former House Speaker. In a race for the Administrative Law Court, 8 candidates include a former House Democrat. Isn't that amazing? Oh my God, we've got a Democrat running. Anyways. For the first time in more than 20 years, a sitting South Carolina Supreme Court justice faces a challenge for keeping his seat. Incumbent Justice John Few will go up against 3 other candidates as he seeks re-election to another 10-year term on the state's highest court. One of them, I just blew my mind. Former State House Speaker Jay Lucas, that's the one that blew my mind. Administrative Law Court Chief Judge Ralph King, Tripp from Anderson, and South Carolina Court of Appeals Judge Blake Hewitt, according to a release from the state's official screening panel. So this Few's term expires July 31st, 2026. You know, this is where we have a big problem. I mean, this is on the Supreme Court in South Carolina, but all across all of the judges, how judges get to the bench, how they are picked, this is setting up a big political run for office. I mean, we don't get to vote on it. Is it the House or the Senate? Anyways, it's done in the legislative branch to decide who will be there. And this will affect, of course, just as it does in the Supreme Court, affect the types of decisions coming down. But I just thought it was very, very judicious There you go. I'm trying to use another word here. Jay Lucas, who left the Senate. I think he works for Prisma now. He's got a great job with Prisma. I think it's Prisma. It's with a hospital group. Anyways, and he is now wanting to be a state's on the Supreme Court. That'll be one to watch. All right, in a few other local things that I wanted to talk about here. Yesterday afternoon, I had the pleasure of talking to Kevin Hines. He is a survivor of jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. There have only been, I think we discussed either 40 or 41. There's about 5 people that have come forth and said that they are survivors. And of that, I believe he may be the only one that is able to walk and carry on what we would consider a normal life. Most of the others, their injuries were so bad. It was an inspiring conversation. It is, of course, posted on our Facebook page under our videos on WCRS 98.5 FM /1450 AM. It's also already posted on our website if you'd prefer to go that way to it at WCRS1450am.net. He is going to be at Lander University this evening, 6:30 to 8:30. He's going to talk about his life. He's going to talk about what changed his life. And you should know that in the 4 seconds from when he jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, he decided he'd made a terrible mistake and asked God to protect him. And God, he did not want to die yet. Now, he will tell that story. I'm giving you a very short version of it. And it looks like God did, and he has done yeoman's work since then. He worked tirelessly along with a lot of other people to get the net that is now underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, which has stopped so many suicides from being completed. He writes books, he does movies, he does all kinds of things. And really, in my opinion, in our country, we do not do enough. We do not do enough to help with mental health in this country. We are more likely to spend money on other medical things, but we don't take the mental health of our children, our adults, into consideration. It's something that people have to deal with on their own. His whole thing is reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, and his motto, be here tomorrow and every day after that. If you are somebody that struggles with mental health, if you sometimes wonder about your worthfulness, is that a word, Ann? If you know somebody, if you are dealing with people on a regular basis that you come in contact with people with ultimate depression and everything, we need to learn how to talk to people. And I would love for the place over there at the Lander Josephine B. Abney Cultural Center be filled with people here to see this guy, Kevin Hines. He bills himself as a storyteller, and he comes from very humble grounds. He actually was born to drug-addicted parents. He ended up in foster care, and he was blessed to be adopted by a family that nurtured him and helped him. But in 2000, when he jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, he'd been diagnosed with bipolar and was having a very difficult time. Fortunately, God saw fit to save his life, and that is the story. So I hope you will get out there and see him. That is 6:30 to 8:30 right there over there at Lander. There is no charge for this. This is a free event. I'm sure it's going to be inspirational. I'm also equally sure it's going to give us a lot of thought to think about. This is brought to you by the Here for a Reason, the number For a Reason Foundation. That was founded here in Greenwood. Excellent story about the heartbreak that brought about the formation of this. Beth Justice and husband committed suicide, and she decided to do something, and she's done a wonderful thing with her Here, the number For a Reason Foundation. Check that out on the website. Also, it is being brought to you, paid for by, sponsored by Lander Wellness Center and the Office of the Dean of Students. So this is something for the community. I hope you're going to get out and see it. It will be well worth your time to do that. This afternoon on Meet Me at the Diner, we are going to have Lisa Sanders. She's going to be unveiling the season of G. Greenwood Performing Arts, and we'll be talking all about that. I'm sure we'll also touch on some of our outreach programs that we're doing in the schools. So that is going on. Also, is it today or is it tomorrow? Let's see. Wait a minute. Let me check here. See if I've got this right. I thought it was, is it today or tomorrow? That's the question. The Knife Skills is tomorrow from 3 to 6 over there at the Clemson Extension office. We did a live video on that. That was pretty darn fun. I hope you go back and check that out on Facebook and or on the website, WCRS1450am.net. But that was pretty fun when we had Dr. Kimberly Baker here talking about knives. So that was a good event, and so much more. I tell you what, it is really hard anymore, isn't it, to keep up with everything that is going on. So I just thought I'd mention those couple of things. I have a lot more we could talk about. Don't forget the golf tournament for the museum is coming up. Oh, actually, I guess it's a week. It's the 8th of September, so not very far away. 9 a.m. at the Greenwood Country Club. Proceeds benefit the museum and the Railroad Historic Center. Make sure you check that out. $90 per person, $360 for a team. It's a four-man captain's choice, rule and prizes, cash prizes for first, second, and third net. Prizes also for first, second, and third gross. But the big thing is, and it's breakfast, and it's lunch, and it's go have a good time. And this is the beautiful time of the year for golf everywhere in the Lakelands. So that's another good thing going on. I know there's some other things that are going on right here in our area, but I don't know if I can actually tell you about them quickly. So tomorrow morning we'll talk about more about some of the things that are out there. I do want to, I'll put this on to talk about tomorrow, what is happening with the CPW, the extension lines and metro lines going out to Harris Landing. They've done a video about it. Evidently, our county government has decided to be proactive. I want to talk about that, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. But if you are in that area, piece of advice, contact the powers that be, contact the county. I don't have the number right here. So contact the county to be able to find out. You can sign up for like quarterly payments or something to be able to pay it. I think I saw it was going to cost like $750 for this to be tapped into the lines and have city water. And so this is something, if you want to be included in it, now's your opportunity. The other thing is, if you don't do it, I think it's before the end of the month, they will just require that you have a one-time payment, whereas right now you can split it up into payments. So I will have all that information tomorrow, but it's also available on Facebook So it is, they have done a little video out there. So I would definitely check that out and make sure that if you are in that area, because there was a big question, are they going to do it or are they not going to do it? Well, turns out, guess what? They are going to do it. So this is, I think this county was actually a little bit upset that they had, that this was even a discussion, But it was. And by the way, in closing, I'd like to say today is National Dog Day. So, Penny, we'll get an extra treat here today. She has been just a gem here lately. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's acting awful good. Maybe she's telling me it's time for her to be on the radio. I don't know. Anyway, she has just been delightful, and maybe we're finally getting along. Maybe we've gotten through the terrible twos and the teenage years. Who knows? Hey, I'm Ann Eller. To all the dogs out there, welcome to our world, and thank you for making our world as rich and as joyful as you do. Also, if you are in need of a pet, please go see them out there at the Humane Society and find your perfect snuggle bunny to make your life so much richer. That's going to do it for me. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Bye-bye, everybody. Cue the music. We're out of here. Take it away.